morning. It's Sunday, 24th of July 2016. This is Sylvia Shrimurthy and you're listening to the newspaper reviews on www.athavan.com. Let's now look at the paper highlights from today's newspapers. The top highlight in Sunday Times says, the Power and Energy Ministry will ask Cabinet to decide whether to cancel a controversial multi-billion rupee coal tender and face a substantial compensation claim, or to continue with a contract which was awarded in a manner that the Supreme Court said had shocked its conscience. Power and Energy Ministry Secretary B.M.S. Bhattagoda said he would put the relevant paper to the Cabinet this week. He said the Attorney General's Department too had advised it was for the Cabinet to make the choice. However, Lanka Coal Company Chairman Maitri Gunaratne has already written to Swiss Singapore Overseas Enterprise Private Limited, the firm that won the tender, suspending the next scheduled shipment of coal. The highlight in the middle says, Emirates Airlines apologizes to Speaker, hospital says it's a bug, not a heart ailment. Speaker Karu Jayasuriya has lodged a formal complaint with the United Arab Emirates ambassador in Colombo, expressing his displeasure at being offloaded from an Emirates airline flight from Colombo to Singapore minutes before the flight took off. A close family member said that soon after the complaint, the UAE ambassador had called senior Emirates Airlines officials and asked them to apologize to Mr. Jayasuriya. Meanwhile, the airline, in response to a query by the Sunday Times, said, Emirates is aware of the concerns expressed by Mr. Jayasuriya and his family. Our cabin crew are trained first responders whose role is to assess the situation, offer assistance and where necessary consult a doctor via Emirates Medline system to evaluate passengers' fitness to fly. There's another highlight which says, Singapore here in a big way for development. Singapore is set to gain access to prime property around Baira Lake in an ambitious development and investment plan which will see the Southeast Asian country building high-rises and setting up tourist ventures in Sri Lankan heritage buildings. Singapore is going to help us with our development, particularly the Western Regional Megapolis, Development Strategies and International Trade Minister Malik Samar Wickrama said. And the highlight at the bottom says, ETCA talks next month free trade deals with China, Singapore too. Negotiations between Sri Lankan and Indian officials to arrive at a draft economic and technology cooperation agreement will be held on August 9th and 10th, a senior minister said. We have made some progress and are hoping to start negotiations around August 9th and 10th at officials level, Development Strategies and International Trade Minister Malik Samar Wickrama said. Let's now look at the paper highlights in Sunday Observer. The top highlight says, strict pricing formula for medical drugs by October. Government to regulate private health sector. A strict pricing formula for medical drugs will be imposed by October this year, drastically reducing the prices of pharmaceutical products, the Sunday Observer learns. Health and Indigenous Minister Rajitha Senaratnam met the National Medicines Regulatory Authority officials and the pricing committee representatives on Friday to direct them to formulate a pricing formula within 2 months. And the highlight in the middle says, Mangala Munasinghe passes away. Veteran politician and senior diplomat Mangala Munasinghe passed away last morning after brief illness. He was 84 years old. There's another highlight which says, report over coal tender deal due next week. A 3-member committee appointed to probe alleged corruption over the coal tender procedure for the Nuraichole coal power plant are expected to submit the report to the Minister of Power and Energy Ranjit Siamalapitiya on July 29th. And the highlight at the bottom says, 30 more containers to be inspected. Cocaine haul. Customs has only 2 scanners working. Only 2 scanners of the 4 made for container examinations at the customs yard were working in condition, while the customs requires 6 such scanners to carry out functions smoothly. However, the authorities were in the process of buying 4 new machines, customs media spokesperson and director Dharmasena Kahandava said. And now let's move to the paper highlights in Suvan today. The top highlight says, Champiga responsible for coal fraud. The Financial Crime Investigation Division is struggling to conclude 62 high-profile financial corruption cases because foreign financial institutions have still not sent it details relating to these cases. Despite Sri Lanka being a signatory to the United Nations Convention Against Corruption, the FCID has come up against a brick wall and can't proceed with the cases because in practical terms, the information flow is deterred by quirks in different laws and administrative practices in several signatory countries. And the highlight in the middle says, Alleged war crimes, Gary calls for international probe. There's another highlight which says, Miracle Caesarean at Anuradhapura Hospital. And the highlight at the bottom says, 1983 Black July, a charred massacre. Black July, also known as Kalu Julia, is the common name used to refer to the anti-Tamil pogrom and riots in Sri Lanka in July 1983. That's all for today's newspaper highlights, and we'll get back to you with more news tomorrow. Thank you.